On items not on today's agenda. Well, to shake things up just a little bit and to add some interest to, not that these meetings are ever dull or perfunctory, but just to shake it up a little, I'm going to provide a 2-minute video clip for you. This is the world premiere of our promotional video for the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority. So 2 minutes of your time, stand by. I will see if I can actually make this function properly with audio.
Oh, I'm so glad you're doing this, Dave.
As am I. And it will be better if I can actually figure out how to make this work. Here we go. We are embracing passenger rail as a way to bring this state, this region, and this nation back together again.
If there was passenger train service that provided intercity transport, it would be a tremendous boost to not just local businesses, but also local tourism between those locations.
Okay, there you go.
Fantastic.
So great.
All aboard Montana. All right, moving right along. We'll just get right into our agenda here for our action items. To begin with, we have a request that the BCC approve a resolution of support for the Highway 200 corridor plan. And this has been something long in the making. I think everyone, certainly that I know and have worked with over the years, has recognized there's serious deficiencies in the Highway 200 corridor infrastructure, transportation infrastructure. And so this is charting a path forward. So Lindsay or John?
Yeah, I'll start out real quick. Yeah, so you kind of said it as good as I could have. This has been in the works for a while now, and this plan absolutely is supported by staff with Missoula County. We this very much comes into compliance with a lot of the major goals in both the land use element and the growth policy. Yeah, this would be a really important part of some of those goals to identify and improve the infrastructure in East Missoula, and it greatly supports and is kind of a part of how we're planning kind of in our new zoning initiative and thinking about East Missoula as a whole and what is needed there to support that community. So now I'm going to pass it off to John. He's been a big part of this project. John, are you in here?
I am here. I was curious
Great.
if I could get permission to share my screen. I have a really quick PowerPoint I thought I'd run through.
Annie, could you help John out?
Yes, just one moment here.
Thank you. Perfect. All right, you should be able to see that.
Yep.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, Commissioner Strohmeyer and Lindsay. My name is Jonathan Sand. I'm a transportation planner with the Missoula Metropolitan Planning Organization. I'm here to just quickly review the East Missoula Highway 200 corridor plan. And so those of you that are not familiar with this project, expands from Van Buren Street on East Broadway all the way out to Tamarack Road towards West Riverside. So really exciting corridor project. We had the WGM group as our consultant team. So just a shout out to Kate, Ann, and Stephen. They did a really good job with public outreach and all the design work. This project was kicked off in January of last year, so we got to adjust a lot of stuff with COVID, but project team did a great job, so just a big thank you to them. A quick review of the project schedule. This, like I said, this kicked off in winter 2020. There's been some previous studies like the 2015 East Missoula vision that this plan built off. And then to the spring summer design alternatives were presented. And each step along the way, we hosted open houses. So the first one we were able to have in person, and then the rest were online. But once those design alternatives were presented, we got feedback from the public, and a preferred alternative was presented in the fall of 2020. Engagement for this process, we sent out postcards because it was a pretty focused area. Mailers, worked with the East Missoula Community Council a lot, and the Bonner Community Council as well. And then here we are in spring 2021 for final plan adoption. So for our plan adoption, we ran legal ads in the Missoulian to let folks know that this plan was in its final stages and ready for adoption. We have a pretty active social media presence, email blasts, partner newsletters, and then again, presentations to those community councils. Just some general comments we heard throughout the process is, no surprise here, consider shuttle service for floaters. Some folks were curious why RFBs were not proposed in the plan. The crossings will be shortened and improved access. RFBs wouldn't be necessarily needed there. Some comments about the cycle track throughout Hellgate Canyon. That was and then of course the underpass under the railroad bridge there. Big support for the roundabout at the interstate exit, and then comments about the shared use path along Highway 200, either a path along the river or whatever is attainable first would be a great improvement. Some changes we made just from feedbacks from MDT. They're a huge partner in this project. There's some talk about moving bus stops from Speedway to Highway 200. This would just require coordination with MDT as right-of-way limitations for proposed trails along the highway, and the shared use path policy. Work with MDT on that. So the MPO's Transportation Technical Advisory Committee approved this on March 4th, and Transportation Policy Coordinating Committee approved this on March 16th. Here today to present this to you, and then this is being referred to City Council on Monday to the Public Works Committee. So I'm just here answer any questions and recommend that the Board of County Commissioners approve the resolution to adopt East Missoula Highway 200 corridor plan.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And thanks, Lindsay. Any questions, Juanita?
No, and wasn't sure if anyone was from East Missoula on this call, but I don't think so. So I
Yeah,
don't have any questions.
any questions from anyone out there, including media representatives? Martin.
Yeah, I know that you all often say that no good plan is intended to sit on the shelf. I know the state revoked the gas tax. I know that there was hope that that could be used to maybe secure matching federal funds to help implement some of the work in this plan. And I'm wondering now, with that off the table, it's just a plan. How do we go about securing funding to implement this costly project?
Yeah, that's a great question. Funding is always the question there. So yeah, gas, that's a whole nother thing. But with the new infrastructure bill being proposed, there's a lot of potential there. And then also a lot of the components of this project are eligible for grant funding. There's a lot of opportunities out there for the trails connections to be funded by grants, transportation alternative grants. There's federal lands access grants out there. And so we're really looking to explore those opportunities. And then, of course, bigger projects like the Rail Link underpass, that's a $10 million project. And so identifying funding for that will just take some partners and really working closely with Rail Link on that to achieve that vision and the plan. So yeah, there's a lot of unknowns out there with infrastructure funding. Also, stimulus money is going to be coming down the pipeline, and so we're looking at those opportunities. And the really great thing about this plan is we worked really closely with East Missoula Community Council and Bonner Community Council, and they're very familiar with, they asked the same question about funding, and so they're familiar with those opportunities and understand as a community they can, if they see a grant out there, they kind of can understand their role in that, and we can work with them to secure that funding if that's something they want to go after. But yeah, a lot of different options out there. But now that there's a plan, there's a vision, there's high-level cost estimates in there, so we have a better understanding of what the project entails rather than what previous work had been done. So
Thanks, Donna. Chris Lonsberry, I think you're lurking out there. Why don't we put this on the list for discussion with our federal lobbyists? Because this seems like it ought to be something on their radar screen as we're talking about revenue streams for local infrastructure.
We can do that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from anyone?
No, I'm excited to make a motion to approve the resolution of support for Highway 200 corridor plan.
I will second that. Any further discussion from anyone? Okay, seeing none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Aye.
Next up, Diana Mineta, talk to us about the contract before us with Miller Law and intervention before the Public Service.
Sure, thank you, commissioners. Dave, as you just mentioned, this contract is with Miller Law, PLLC, for representation of Missoula County and the City of Missoula before the Montana Public Service Commission, specifically in a role as interveners in Northwestern Energy's recently filed application for pre-approval of capacity resources. Those capacity resources they're proposing include a gas-fired power plant in Laurel, Montana, and a battery storage facility proposed near Billings. The city and county have an interest in this matter, of course, for a couple of reasons. One is the costs and risks that these decisions may pose to Northwestern Energy ratepayers, which include our city and county governments, as well as the majority of city and county households and businesses. And then, of course, we also have a joint city-county goal of 100% clean electricity for the Missoula urban area by 2030. And so we have an interest in resource decisions made at the state level that will impact our ability to achieve that goal. and in particular, any proposal to develop new fossil fuel resources deserves serious scrutiny. I would argue at this particular moment in history, when the science is clear that we must phase fossil fuels out entirely in order to avoid catastrophic changes to our climate. So in terms of intervention, the deadline, the PSC's deadline to intervene is today. So assuming this contract is approved, we will file our motion to intervene with the Public Service Commission by the end of the day. I want to note that intervening doesn't commit us to any course of action in particular. What it does is it gives us the opportunity to closely follow the proceeding, to pose questions to Northwestern Energy regarding its proposal, and to submit our own testimony to the Public Service Commission for consideration. All of that will occur over a period of several months. So it doesn't all happen right away, but I'll certainly keep you updated as things progress here. And then just logistically, the contract includes a cost cap of $30,000. The county has previously budgeted $15,000 for this effort, as has the city of Missoula. So the plan here is for the county to enter into the contract with Miller Law and to pay invoices and then invoice the city for half of the amount of each invoice that's paid, again, up to that total of $30,000 combined. Thank you, and happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Anna. Juanita, any questions?
Nope, I wasn't sure if Andrew, I saw his icon flashing, but do you have any questions, Andrew?
No, I'm good.
Oh.
Any questions from anyone? Okay, and even though this is with Miller Law, Miller Law meaning Ross Miller is the individual who will be representing us.
Correct. Yep.
Thanks. So I move to approve the contract with Miller Law for representation before PSC.
I'll second that. Any further discussion or public comment? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye. Thanks so much, Diana.
Diana?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the heavy lift pulling this together quickly. And I learned that items 3 and 4 will be postponed until next week, I believe. Is that correct, Annie?
Yes, item 3 will be heard on Tuesday. Item 4 will be heard on Thursday.
Okay. So moving on to item 5, Shane, we have a request that I be authorized to sign a build grant form SF 424 and SF LLL.
Yes, very exciting forms. Yeah, the SF 424. I think when we applied for the grant, I think we actually submitted one of those, but for whatever reason they want more of these. So as we get closer to hopefully signing a grant agreement, we need these forms again. So the SF 424 is just an application for federal assistance, and then the SF LLL basically states that we did not use federal funds to pay for lobbying activities related to the build grant project. And so we didn't have a lobbyist at the time, and so we obviously could not have had them lobbying on our behalf, even though it sounds like we have a lobbyist now. I don't think that matters. So anyway, those are the two forms.
And we can't see the forms, but I'm going to, regardless, I'm going to motion that Strohmeyer sign them.
Okay, I will second that. More SF 424s. Any further discussion on authorizing me to sign these two things? Seeing none. Oh, Annie.
That's okay. Just a quick question, Shane. Do these have to be wet signatures or can they be electronic?
Good question. Just for not having to do this again, let's just get wet signatures and I'll just have to scan them and send them. They seem very particular about things, so I just don't even want to guess.
That was kind of my gut feeling, but thank you.
And whatever color pen you put out, Annie, I will use to sign the things, and hopefully it will be agreeable to Department of Transportation. Did we vote yet?
Oh.
I don't
Maybe
remember.
we'll do
I lost track. I second it, and all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Shane. Thanks, Annie. Next, Kyla, we have a request to reappoint members to the Missoula Development Authority.
Yes, we have 2 terms that expire June 30th, 2021. We had no new applicants, but we did have Bert Caldwell, submitted his letter of interest, has served 1 term and is eligible for reappointment. Dan Newman also submitted his letter of interest, has served 1 term, and is also eligible for reappointment. So the motions before you is to reappoint Bert and Dan to new 2-year 3 terms, July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024.
Sounds
Great.
good to me.
I'm going to motion that the board reappoint Caldwell Newman.
I will second that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Kyla. Okay, moving on to correspondence. We have a comment letter to submit to the Lolo National Forest regarding wildfire adapted Missoula. The version that is linked to the agenda is an earlier version. There have been some edits over the past couple of days to that. Chet, you want to speak to this item?
Sure, thanks, Dave. Yep, that's correct. There's we were able to get some additional information plugged into that letter, so that has been sent forward. So that'll be the one that you'll see for signature today. The comment deadline is tomorrow, but if we can get those signatures as soon as possible, we'll get that sent in, make sure that we are in within the deadline. Just really quickly on this particular letter, this part of the wildfire adapted Missoula process is the environmental assessment phase of the Forest Services project. Just a reminder, we did submit scoping comments back in November at the very beginning of this project. In this letter, we have recognized that the Forest Service has included some of what they received from that scoping process in terms of public input into this EA document. They've also expanded some of the acreage to include lands that either have been acquired since scoping or will soon be acquired prior to this final decision on the project, which will help with some of the restoration and ecological work that's going to happen as a part of this overall project. So those are all good things. And also they recognize that they've got some additional projects and treatments that are aimed at kind of new wood utilization and decreasing smoke effects that are associated with controlled burning. So those were some of the changes that were articulated as part of the EA from scoping. Beyond that, I think we're just recognizing the importance of this collaborative cross-boundary landscape scale approach that the Forest Service is using, but also recognizing that we can go a lot further in addressing some of the home ignition zone issues and concerns that relate to our community resiliency with wildfire. And some of those comments were pieces that we've included in this more recent draft. So if there's other questions or I've missed anything, Dave, I'm happy to speak to that as well.
Okay. Juanita, any questions?
No, thanks for everyone's work on this.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And Annie, would it be possible once, well, now that we have a nearly final version, to link the final draft to this agenda so folks can access it in the future?
Yes, I will get both of the letters on here. I'll get the final draft uploaded, so it will be linked in.
Okay. Very good. Any questions from anyone out there on this item? Okay, the next piece of correspondence. Chet, are you wanting to talk to this also? This is a letter of support for BLM acquisition of Nature Conservancy lands in the Blackfoot watershed.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I'll hit this one too. This one is really a continuation of conversations that we've had here for the last few years involving the Nature Conservancy and lands that they had acquired from previously Plum Creek. And the disposition of those lands has been occurring over the last few years to various agencies. This latest phase is intended to work with the Bureau of Land Management for acquisition of some of those remaining parcels from the Nature Conservancy. And they'll be looking for land and water conservation funds to complete this phase of the acquisition. We weren't able to get our Nature Conservancy folks online today, but if there are questions associated with this, we can certainly connect with them down the road.
Great. Any questions from anyone? Yeah, this is in keeping with a process that's been ongoing for some time, and that is conversion of these once were former Plum Creek, or originally many of these were Northern Pacific Land Grant parcels that were provided to the Northern Pacific Railroad in the 1800s to punch a railroad through here, and eventually they've changed hands a number of times, and now I think it's only fitting that they be added back into the public estate for public access. So, okay, look forward to signing this. Thanks, Chet. Chris, do you want to talk or at least introduce this discussion regarding the Attorney General's opinion?
Sure. So thanks, commissioners. What I'm looking for today is just some direction for staff here. As you know, the Attorney General recently issued an opinion that doesn't really have a direct impact on Missoula County, but because we are doing quite a bit of work in this area of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, might be worth us considering working with some of our partners at the city, the university, Missoula County Public School Districts, and others in the community to potentially look at ways that we might host or participate in some good informational sessions for folks, just kind of in the work that's being done across Missoula County and in the various organizations in the state and in the greater Missoula County community, and how those kind of tie together and the kind of importance and history around that work. So that's what we're looking for today, to see if the commission would be interested in staff pursuing some of those, whether it's in partnership with the university to look at something like a presidential lecture series on the topic, or whether it's working with a group like City Club to convene a kind of city conversations, city county conversation on it, depending on what that might look like. So.
Yes,
yeah,
I think this is important, and explore some options for us. Go forth, Chris.
Yeah, we discussed this earlier in our CAO meeting, and I think it would be prudent to whoever you determine, Chris, and it would make sense that Jamar be a part of the mix here as far as laying out some options as far as a path forward. But I think it makes sense to reach out to the University of Montana, maybe for starters, and to the extent that the Attorney General opinion is predominantly focused on educational institutions, although I think we're right to be cognizant of other broader and maybe intended or unintended consequences of the opinion. It does make sense to reach out to the educational institutions first, and probably also the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes to look to see if there's an opportunity for a public forum roundtable discussion of some sort. And in no way, shape, or form does the Attorney General's opinion cause us to waver one bit in terms of our justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives here with Missoula County.
Yeah, and I do think it's important to commissioners to recognize that, again, in conversations around this, that it's not, it doesn't necessarily have direct bearing on anything that we were doing for work anyway, and nor do we think it necessarily interferes in that work going forward. But I just do think it's an important community conversation around, what some of these topics really mean and what how those tools are utilized in the community in general. So.
Thank you for bringing something together.
Yeah, is that clear enough direction, Chris?
Yeah. So we'll reach out. As you know, the city has a large project ongoing around this as well, and then we'll reach out to the University of Montana and Missoula County Public Schools, just because Rob meets with the superintendents regularly, and we can use that relationship to see if there's interest. So.
And then, Aaron Lipkin with superintendent.
Yep. Okay. Our own local elected superintendent of schools from Missoula County. Absolutely.
Any questions or comments from anyone on this item? And If folks have not seen it, we could certainly provide you access to the Attorney General opinion if you'd like to take a look at that. Okay. Any other communication needs or requests? Allison, do you have anything for us?
Yes, I thought I would just give you a quick update on our communications around Operation Shelter, which is what the assignment, the IMT has, the name they've given their assignment. So right now we're working on developing a page on the Engage Missoula website around it that will just give an overview of, what the team's assignment is, what they're working on, and also just link to some information about homelessness in general. And so people will be able to go on there and kind of get a lay of the land as far as what the team's working on, how they can contribute to that. We'll also still reference the solutions@missoulacounty.us email on there, just in case some people just would only want to email. They don't want to get on the site and register and all of that. But that'll be just a good place to put information and updates. So just wanted to let you guys know that that's what we're working on. And then also you may have seen that we did schedule the MCAT video for Monday afternoon at 2:45, I think. And sorry, this is a different topic now. If you guys want to get together and discuss that beforehand, we can try to find some time to do that too. But just wanted to make sure you were aware of that. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. And does the solutions email now work? Is it up and running? Because we had comments on it.
I'm 96% sure it's
okay. Okay.
I'm gonna get to 100% on that, but yeah, thanks for bringing that to our attention. So we'll get it out.
Great. And yes, I would love to huddle up well when Josh gets back before our 2:45 on Monday, so we have something choreographed.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Allison. Anything else from anyone before we adjourn? Okay, seeing nothing else. Have a good day, everyone.
Well done. 10:32, Dave.
All right, we're rolling through these.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.